Hello and welcome to Were You Not Entertained? I'm Daniel.
I'm Rachel.
And I'm James.
And today we are going to cover Hamilton, which is now on DisneyPlus, but it's not really a movie per se. It's a play that was filmed and put in movie format for everyone to enjoy at home.
Yeah, and honestly, I kind of appreciate it because a lot of movies that are based off of Broadway get the kind of the Cats or Rent production style, and
Right.
it seems like it takes away from a lot of the pageantry you have from an actual stage performance, because then you're marrying it with actual movie style production, and it always seems disjointed.
Yeah, it's like they want it to still feel like a play because it's written as one, but with it being in a movie format, which, yeah, I agree is at times is kind of like, well, why didn't you just make it into a movie, like a real movie, not like two different like locations. That's what you kind of what is the name of that movie that Fences, right?
The what?
Fences.
That was much more simple. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so that was kind of it was a play that was adapted and made into an actual movie, but it was very simplistic about locations and characters and things like that.
Yeah.
So it still fit with the writing, but without being too like boxed in, I guess. But this was literally just a play.
Right.
It's a play on film.
Yeah. This is just a film version of the 2016 hit play. It took stages by storm back when it first came out, and now that it's been filmed and released on Disney Plus, it's again trending at number one, and it's all anybody seems to talk about right now.
Yeah. Yeah,
including us apparently.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's 4 years old.
Yeah.
But I had never seen it. I'll just give everyone a fair warning if you haven't heard before. I am not a big fan of musicals of any kind. And so I went into this with that grain of salt, going, I don't expect to walk out to turn this off and go, that was the greatest thing I've ever seen. So, I tried to appreciate it for what it was compared to the other musicals that I've watched.
Yeah.
And just to say, I thought it was incredibly well done and entertaining. I probably won't watch it again because, like I said, it's just not my thing. But I was glad I saw it. And I was really impressed with a lot of the stuff. And the music is amazing.
Yeah. To me, I enjoyed watching it.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge musical fan either. Go figure. But I did actually enjoy it. I don't know that I would watch it again. I mean, I guess the good thing about it is that it's based on history, right? So
Based.
I can, yeah, but I can,
there's a whole lot of artistic license, which is fine. I mean,
sure, but the facts were not.
But
the facts themselves were not wrong.
Mostly.
There were a few that were speculative, but yeah, for the most part.
Right.
This was all
they're speculative, period.
Genuinely factual. Yeah, absolutely.
So it's not, obviously, well.
And there's licenses that they took. Like Aaron Burr was Jefferson's vice president for the first term. And then his second term, he dropped Aaron Burr off the ticket.
Well, yeah.
And
so
Jefferson and Burr ran together in the first term and they won. There was just a weird debacle there was speculation that Burr was trying to take the presidency at that point in time. And so, I mean, but it was the way that it was presented in Hamilton was almost, it was done for dramatic license, and it makes sense. It was fun.
Well, it was done because how else can you tell that story?
Right. Without spending the entire play focusing on the intricacies of that drama.
Right. Because then you have to get into the minutia of those two and how they're interacting with each other and things going on outside of their interactions.
Sure. And
it wasn't about them.
Right.
So yes, okay, artistic license, sure, but the point is that anything if like you're curious about, you can go back and read. You don't
Right.
have to necessarily watch this to. If you
If
knew
you're getting your
nothing,
historical facts from a Broadway play, you've already failed.
well, sure.
That's kind of how I see it.
Yeah. Well, I would say if you knew nothing and you're not really interested in history per se, but you're curious, then it's a decent way to get interested.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's I don't know. I still enjoyed it even though it's like I said, it's based off of history. It was really uniquely done. I thought the music was incredible and the singing was incredible. And it was interesting to see it being done in the manner that it was. So it's a musical, but it's not like a musical like you would think Phantom of the Opera or Cats, right? It's more of a lyrical, like a hip hop kind of musical.
Yeah, and
If
there's
that makes sense.
no real breaks between big numbers. This just flows from song to song.
Right.
Right.
It's got a cadence to any spoken word
Yeah.
that's in it, which is really neat. It's a very cool idea. I have a hard time understanding that right off the bat. That's just my brain doesn't absorb things very well when they're sort of in a sing-song type way. It's a little harder for me to get the rest of the information.
Okay.
So
I think some of the audio is a little weird, in my opinion.
some
at
of
the
it was
beginning.
a little quiet and a little muffled, but again, a big chunk of that is just me and the way that I take in information.
Sure.
Well, one of the advantages of Disney Plus viewing is
You
you can
watch it
turn on
again.
subtitles.
Oh well, yeah, you can do that too.
I could turn on subtitles. Yes. And I'm also in that I don't like musicals camp.
Oh,
So
wow.
why-
3 of
So
us.
why did we watch this? You might ask.
I love
Um,
the Newsies, and that's about where my musical love ends. And so I can look at this and I really appreciate all the pieces. I think Lin-Manuel Miranda's vision and writing and musical numbers, all of that was just mind-blowing.
He's an extremely talented man.
It was so great. The creativity that just pours out of him
Yeah.
is awesome. And every single person in this was incredible.
In that he could perform it as well. He didn't just
Yeah.
Andrew Lloyd Webber it. I mean, he did the whole thing.
No, he did every little bit of this. And I thought that was really great. And I don't think there was a single person in this that I thought didn't fit or didn't do the part justice.
Mm-hmm.
I think everyone had different strengths, which was really interesting to see in a play and in a musical, because typically in musicals, I would think you have more of a homogenized styling. So you want everyone to be able to hit these crazy notes and everyone to be able to do all these vocal things. But this didn't necessarily follow that.
Yeah, it seemed to play off their own strengths.
Yeah, and you had some people like David Diggs that is so good with the spoken word. And the more
I loved him in this.
hip-hop
Yeah,
style,
yeah.
oh, he was fantastic. And then you have Jonathan Groff as the king. And his vocals were mind-blowing. He was so funny. But
Yeah.
wow, that's talent and a range.
Yeah, absolutely.
I do want to say that I was really happy to see David Diggs. He was great in this. And like we've talked about it before and we talk about it off air. Blind Spotting is one of my favorite movies now. And I think that y'all are in the same camp as that.
Yeah.
Y'all are the
Oh,
one that showed it to
absolutely.
me.
For sure.
And him playing Lafayette, who is one of my favorite historical historical people from that time frame, playing the character of Lafayette, was just perfect for me. That was my in, because every time he came on stage, even after he changed into Jefferson, I was like, all right, no, this is the best part I've seen so far.
Yeah. They, like I said, they each and every one of them seem to have kind of their own style.
Yeah.
And they all
Yeah.
fit together well. And I'm assuming that those styles, I don't know that it was originally written the way it was, but I think probably adapted for their individual strengths, and people were cast based on what they could and couldn't do, obviously. But
Agreed.
but it did just fit together really well, even when you had the five guys at the beginning that are all together, and they're supposed to be at a tavern or whatever, and they're each doing their own individual thing. It is all different, but it all just worked, and I thought that was really impressive.
Yeah, I think everyone in this movie was incredibly talented.
Yeah.
One of the things that I thought was genius was the inclusion of hip hop, because not only because it's great, hip hop's great in and of itself, but the speed at which information is conveyed in hip hop and lyrics are conveyed is much faster than most other forms, especially in musical theater. And so you were able to get a lot more story and character development in the 2 hour and 30-minute runtime that it is.
Right.
Than I feel like you would if you had these long, slow words that you get from more of a classical style.
Yeah, this is no opera.
Right. Yeah,
and so you could pack in that whole amount of information really quick.
Yeah, and the fact that it kept that pace the entire time. There wasn't any breaks where people are just chatting like you'd kind of see in other plays, where they'd have these huge musical numbers and then there'd be 4 people on stage and they would just be having regular conversations, and then they break into another song.
Right.
It was continuous. They were continuously giving you tidbits and bits of information, all in song fashion.
Yeah, that's one of the things. It's kind of operatic in the sense that there isn't spoken word really at all.
Right.
I can't think of a single time that they've broken to spoken word.
No, it all had...
Yeah, it was all rhythmic.
Yeah, it was all... for me personally, I don't know that much about American history. It's just one of those results of a unique schooling.
Yeah.
We didn't really cover much American history. So this was really my first big exposure to Hamilton and an in-depth look at what happened. I mean, I know the basics of Washington's first president, things like that. But this, in that sense, it was very interesting, and it's a great way to get some information. I know that it's a play, obviously, so it's artistic and it's not 100% factual, but it would give me a basis and an interest to go research that further.
Yeah, I think that it's a great igniter for interest in history and what happened during the...
If all history could be delivered in hip hop, I think more people would listen.
Right. Yeah.
And I think that's a good point. I did grow up with American history, and I'm a big history fan. I like studying it in my free time. And so I went in not expecting it to be very accurate, and it wasn't super accurate, but it added a layer of humanism that you just don't get from most of the historical texts. Most of the time it's about this person did this, and then this happened, and then this happened. And it's done so dryly that you don't have that kind of association. These were people. Our founding fathers were human beings. They weren't just some mechanical robot that created a country. And the way that it's often presented in really dry historical, especially classroom textbooks. And yeah, I think that if something like Hamilton can draw more people into, like you were saying earlier, Daniel, going back and digging deeper into the history, then that's a win right there.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think it's good that it's out on DisneyPlus as well. Just because I assume. I think that while DisneyPlus absolutely entertains an older generation because of the movies that are available on it, it also caters to a younger generation that might actually get exposure to history this way and enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. And filming it this way makes it accessible to a huge audience. I didn't have an opportunity to go see Hamilton.
I don't
as
live
a
anywhere
play,
near Broadway, so
Well, and they did
Yeah.
a small tour
Yeah.
with not the same cast, but this is a really great chance to see it with, the tip top people that were essentially put into these parts specifically.
Yeah.
And so I think that's really cool, and it's much easier than trying to go to the theater.
yeah.
Yeah,
That it
especially
is.
nowadays.
Well,
Yeah.
also,
Kind of challenging to go to the theater in the middle of a pandemic.
Yes. Like not possible, challenging.
Yeah.
It's interesting to me to kind of see what things are being released and how they're being released during this time. I don't know if this was something that was planned long before the pandemic started. Obviously this was filmed in 2016, so it was conceived then, but how were they planning on releasing it is kind of what I was more curious about. Like, was this going to be released in a theater for you to come in and watch the play in a theater, or was it supposed to go to a streaming service?
Or was it supposed to be a box set or something like that?
Right.
Yeah.
But it's here now, and lots of people are talking about it, and that's why we're actually covering it. It's not because we're huge musical fans. Obviously, we
Clearly
have all said that we're not.
Yeah.
But we did want to actually get, I guess, exposure to this and kind of see what all the hype was about.
It's too much of a cultural phenomenon not to talk about it.
Yeah.
Or not to at least have seen it.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, now that I've seen it, I get it. I see why
Agreed.
people are talking about it. I see why a lot of people like it. It was enjoyable. It was longer than I expected because I didn't really look, I guess, when I started playing it. But I still think that it fit. I don't think that it was too long. It was just, I guess the intermission, when they did the intermission, I was like, oh, I figured we had like another maybe 20 or 30 minutes and it'd be over, but it was longer than that.
Yeah.
Which was, again, still fine. There was a lot that they had to kind of cover and explain, essentially going through most of his life.
I do want to say I was really, really pleased because I was concerned about it going in being musical theater, that they were going to make Burr out to be much more of a bad guy. And he was a very sympathetic antagonist. I've always, there's the whole Aaron Burr shot Alexander Hamilton narrative is about all most people know about it. Most of that coming from a 1990s milk commercial. And the fact that there's a lot more complexity to that, and that
I remember that commercial,
right? Yeah, it was a good commercial.
Yeah, the peanut butter. He's trying to answer anyway.
Yeah,
Rachel's like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, YouTube it.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of complexity to that historical figure, and he wasn't as one note as the way he's often remembered. And so I appreciated that they went into that detail and that he was, less of a harsh antagonist. And a lot of the problems that Alexander Hamilton encountered were problems that he somewhat created himself.
Yeah. No, that's very true. I thought it was interesting how they started as well, with basically the introduction of the characters and telling you why they're here, right?
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting that they specifically, obviously, if you know about history, then you know, but I thought it was an interesting way to go about saying, and I'm the man that killed him, basically.
Right from the beginning. Yeah.
From the very beginning. And then you get to kind of see the character growth and interaction that they show between the two and go, well, it's kind of a strange turn of events, right?
It's like giving the Chekhov's gun in the first scene.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah,
All
that
right.
being said, I did enjoy it.
That's good to hear. No, I think that's kind of the case. I'm assuming it sounded like you enjoyed it as well, Rachel, right?
I enjoyed it less, but I didn't hate it.
Yeah, and I mean that's kind of the way I feel about it. Like I said, I just don't like musicals. I don't find them super compelling to me. But this did an incredible job, and compared to every other musical I've ever seen, and I've seen more than I would like, this is maybe the best one I've seen. It's really well done, and the pageantry is incredible. The choreography is really well done. The actual acting and singing portions are amazing. And so for something that I can't stand, if you hate a certain food and somebody magically cooks it the exact right way and you're like, okay, no, this is actually really good. I don't know if I'll go seek it out every night, but I can enjoy it when it's done this well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And again, I think it was really nice to be able to watch it on a TV instead of in a Broadway theater.
Yeah.
I've done that before, and there's just something about Broadway that's a little loud. Sometimes people don't pay attention.
No.
Yeah, I guess that can happen. It's like going to a movie theater.
Exactly. People are on your chit chat.
Yep.
All right. Well, was there anything else you guys? Oh, yeah, go for it.
No, I was just gonna say that y'all enjoyed it, but maybe not so much. I did actually enjoy it.
Good.
I actually enjoyed it, even though I don't like musicals.
Yeah.
I think that in that realm, it is one of the best that I've seen. And I've seen Cats and Phantom of the Opera on stage.
Oh no!
Wow. I've never seen Cats, but I've seen Phantom of the Opera.
They were both great, but this was really good. That's all I had.
Anyways.
Let's get into favorite scenes or favorite numbers, or you just kind of wing it. Pick whichever one.
Whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Favorite part. How about that?
Yeah, I like that. I'll go first.
Okay.
Go for it.
Because I know that Daniel and I have the same favorite part.
We do, yeah.
So I'm going to say it first this time. But it's pretty much anything with King George.
He was great.
Oh, man. The first time
he is a fan favorite,
so
according to the producers.
Funny.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He's great.
He was really good. The song was really funny. And I appreciate that.
He did bring a lot of levity.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. He did a great job. He has a tremendous voice. But he also brought a lot of levity to something that could have been a little more, I don't know, serious, a little too serious maybe.
Yeah. He was pompous and bratty in the right way for this kind of character.
And at the right moments.
Yeah. Good comedic timing.
Yeah. Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
He's got a hell of a voice, man.
He does.
Oh my God.
He nailed those songs.
Yeah. I'm a fan.
Yeah, it was all good.
I'm a fan of King George.
Don't say that.
That's another place they took artistic licenses.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, again, how do you explain that?
Right. Well, I'm very thankful that America was created, the United States was created because I live here and I enjoy living in this country and being an American. At the same time, there was pretty good reason for the taxation we got, the whole war that existed before that with the French to not encroach on our settlements. But
yeah, well,
it's more complicated than
I was
often
say,
portrayed from the American's perspective.
We could totally get into that and turn this into a completely different podcast.
Oh boy, let's not.
Let's not. Yeah,
let's not do that.
You guys do that after I leave.
Yeah, basically, we'll just stick with the whole taxation without representation, and we'll just leave it there.
I'm just going to stick with, I know King George wasn't like that in real life.
Obviously not.
But I love this version, and that's just how I'm going to remember him now.
Fair enough.
Yeah, fair enough. So what about you, James?
I kind of alluded to it earlier. It was a Lafayette song.
Mm-hmm.
Because I love Lafayette as a historical figure, and I felt like he was really engaging and interesting character in the play itself. And David Diggs is just awesome. He's great in everything that I've seen him in, and he was wonderful once again. And I was just very happy that we got an entire song that was kind of geared around him, even though it seemed like a shorter song.
Yeah, it was a shorter song. He had a shorter part as
well. He did play two parts. Yeah.
Well, yes, exactly. He didn't play Alexander Hamilton, who is, the theme of the entire thing.
Right.
Everybody else pretty much played two parts, which was also kind of cool.
Did Washington? I thought he only played one.
No, he just played the one part.
Same with Eliza.
Yeah.
She was just
Eliza. But they literally had like small pieces, whereas David Diggs was in the entire thing. He was just two people.
Yeah. I was a little confused when that switched over. I'm glad that they cleared out. They continually said, and when he first comes out, I'm Thomas Jefferson. By the way, I'm Thomas Jefferson.
Yeah.
Heads up, guys. Same guy, different name.
Hey, Thomas Jefferson here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he was brilliant. Of course, I don't think any of us could say enough about how awesome David Diggs is.
It's a very, very talented cast.
There was nobody I felt like wasn't deserving to be there. Everybody nailed their part perfectly. Yeah. And that's more than I can say about most of the stuff we watch.
Right.
Fair enough.
That is true.
All right. Well, then I think that just about wraps it up for our coverage of Hamilton. This is one that I didn't feel necessary to yell spoilers at the beginning, because not only is it based off of history, so you probably have some idea what happens, but on top of that, we've actually managed to do a good job of not really ruining much of the storyline. So I guess pat on our own backs there.
Sure.
Hopefully you enjoyed our coverage. If you did, go online, like and subscribe, and please join us next time on Were You Not Entertained?